let's look at a couple of examples, 3 examples on this here worksheet. Okay, so where you've got to start on these, you've got to start with this y-intercept right here. We're going to look at number 1 first. You've got to start with that y-intercept. Reason being, that tells you where to start your graph. Okay, if you don't have a place to start, then you can't end up finishing. It's very easy. We know that this is our y-intercept, and what happens at a y-intercept is it's where your line crosses your y-axis. So we know that our line is going to cross our y-axis at -1, that point right there. Now, we don't know what that's going to look like when it goes through there. We don't know if it's going to look like this, if it's going to look like this. If it's going to look like this, we don't know. But we know that it's going to go through that point right there. Now, we've got to have 2 points to draw a line. So that gives us 1. We've got to find 1 more. The other one you find by your slope. Okay, if you remember a few weeks back, we found slope on a graph using our rise over our run. Okay, and you can kind of use that in reverse here and fill in your slope. And you can rise 1 and run 4. We rise 1, we run 4. You get another point right there. Once you have 2 points, you can draw a line. I'm going to go ahead and show you how to get a 3rd point, just to make sure that the more points you have, the more accurate your line is going to be. And another option when you're doing these, or if you're like way at the top and you can't rise, is to make them both negative. The reason that works is because we know 2 negatives here make a positive, which puts it back to that 1/4 that we started at. So -1 and -4, if we rise -1, negative's going down, and we run -4, negative is to the left when we run, it gives us a 2nd point right there. And then we can draw us a line. And voila, that's all you got to do on that one. Okay, let's look at number 2 because it's got a couple of things that we need to think about. Now, the y-intercept again, very easy, 2. That gives you 1 point. Now, if you notice, there's no slope really on this, but we know anytime there's no number in front of that x, there's no coefficient, but anytime that there's not one, we know that there is a little hidden 1 right there. It tells us we've got 1x. Now, I said a second ago, you need to put it in your rise over run to graph it. It's the easiest way to look at it. But this rise over run requires a fraction. All we have is a -1. Anytime you have a number that you need to make into a fraction, you can take that -1 or that any number and put it over 1, and that gives you the fraction that you need for this formula. If your slope was 8, and you needed to make it into a fraction, it would be 8 over 1, and so on. Oh, you can't see that, I'm sorry. It would be 8 over 1, and so on. So it doesn't matter what that number is. I know this one just happens to be a -1. Whatever your slope is, if you put it over 1, you get a fraction. So we rise -1, rise is going down, or negative is going down. Our run of 1, that's a positive, so it goes to the right. We rise and we run, and you can do that as many times as you want to. You can do it 2 times, you can do it 10 times. It does not matter. You're going to get the same answer every time. You draw you a little line through there, connect all your dots. Straight edge is struggling. There you go. Okay, notice our slope was negative to start with. It was a -1, and my line is going downhill, which is a negative slope. It's very important that you kind of check that before you get done and move on. Make sure you didn't make a silly mistake. The last one I want to look at is number 6. Okay, number 6 is y = 4. Now, you may think, man, where would y equal 4 on here? We've got no equation, no slope, no nothing. But if you look on your graph, there are several places that y equals 4. If you look at this one, this is the most obvious. The points for that coordinate are 0, 4. So what does our y equal right there? It equals 4. What about this right here? Our coordinates are 6, 4. So our y equals 4. All of these points, all through here, right here, our y is 4. Right here, our y is 4. Right there, our y is 4. This entire line of everything where y equals 4 is the line y equals 4. So that would be your y equals 4. If you were using, if it was x, say you had x equals -5 or something like that, then your x, it would look just like that. Okay, your slope for that case would be undefined, where on this one, your slope is 0. When you've got y equals, your slope's going to be 0. When you've got an x equals, your slope would be undefined. Okay, that's all you should need to get through this worksheet. There are several where, or especially on the back, where you'll have to change them to negatives to have enough room to do the rise over run, because they come up right here at the top and it tells you to rise and you can't. So you'll have to remember that that is an option. It's very important that you see that as another way to get a positive slope. But if you need any help, don't hesitate to reach out and I would love to help you. Good luck, guys.